All right, Natalie Ferrari joining us right now. Natalie, it's getting closer. I mean, we're here Saturday night, looking ahead to tomorrow morning.
The impacts, Courtney, they're getting here already. And while this is still not the main show, this is definitely a different type of feel in the atmosphere. I've been seeing it all day long. Folks have even been messaging us saying that the clouds, they've just darkened in such a deep blue way, and they bring these tropical downpours, even created some very gorgeous double rainbows. I know you guys saw out there in Tampa Bay, but that is just the beauty that can come ahead of a storm that could be very, very messy. Now, we actually have the core of this, the center of this, staying well offshore. That will continue to happen even as it rides by Tampa Bay, but we're on the right side of this system, so that does bring some messy weather our way. We've even been seeing it in some of our inland locations as it continues to trail its way to the northwest over the southeastern Gulf of Mexico tonight. Look at all of this rain that's wrapping up in our inland locations, even out towards the east coast tonight over West Palm Beach, where there is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning there. So this band has a history of producing severe storms. That's the kind of energy we can see ahead of these outer bands, the outer flow of tropical systems, not only severe because of winds, but also tornado risk. That threat is going to be there. I will say it's going to be more so along our southern counties as we go through overnight tonight. That will pick up more so towards the I-4 corridor and much of central Florida throughout the day tomorrow. So we are watching that higher risk even up through southern Florida tonight. You'll see some of this light scattered rain right along I-4. Yeah, this is part of that tropical moisture, but these bands, they kind of weaken and fall apart as they drift from south to north, and that's why we're dealing with some spots still seeing some light steady rain, some gusty winds as well, but the brunt of it is still to come, at least with some of those heavier downpours. So here's the latest track again from the National Hurricane Center. You're seeing all these boxes flash here because whenever we get this big 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. updates, they reissue or reignite a lot of those tropical storm watches and warnings. So those are still in place for us here across Tampa Bay. Look at the track continuing to drive to the north through tomorrow and even into the northeastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico by Monday morning, and that is where it is forecast to strengthen to a Category 1 hurricane with max sustained wind speeds at 85 miles per hour. So this is now looking to be a stronger storm as it makes landfall, likely going to be now north of Horseshoe Beach. That's what our models, our in-house models, have been showing. Yes, the track, the center could wiggle a little bit more left or a little more to the right, but I do think the center of this will be staying west of the immediate Tampa Bay and making its way into the Big Bend region by Monday morning, possibly even Monday midday with landfall. And that track, our spaghetti models continuing to show that agreement, showing that alignment up towards the north and to the northeast over the next 48 hours. I showed you those tropical storm warnings, and that's because conditions, that's it. They're ongoing. They're here. The potential to see tropical storm force winds is going to be here all up and down along the Gulf Coast throughout the entirety of tomorrow. Even some of those squall bands we've been noticing, they've had that potential to pick up winds like that. The yellow here from Polk, Hardy, DeSoto, that is a tropical storm watch. So conditions are favorable, but they're not going to be as widespread and as consistently likely as it is back along the coast. This red here is a hurricane warning, and that is due to the fact that is where landfall is expected. Those is basically where the highest wind speeds are going to be wrapped around the center of that storm. And because of that storm surge threat, this light pink this light pink color you see here is a storm surge watch from Pasco all the way down through the immediate bay and down towards southwest Florida. Hernando, Citrus, coastal areas here back through the Big Bend under a storm surge warning for this region. That is where we have the highest storm surge potential. This 6 to 10 foot storm surge is the latest update up towards Horseshoe Beach, north of Cedar Key, south of Cross City. This is where we're likely going to see those highest surge totals. Back through the bay, 2 to 4 feet. So this center of this, again, staying well towards the west as we go through this weekend. But I want to talk more about your county by county outlook. You may be asking yourself, what am I going to feel in my neighborhood? And for that, we have meteorologist Colleen Campbell here.
Thanks, Natalie. Yeah, so this is always a common question, right? You want to know what it's going to be on top of your house. So it's a little tricky because the track does change just by the slightest degree, but we can break down what we know right now. So timing is very important. We're expecting this storm. We just gave you the latest cirrus cone, which again, the storm could speed up or slow down. We have seen that. But right now, the timing looks to be for Citrus, Hernando, Pasco County, starting tomorrow around noon. That's when the storm's going to start approaching, and you will feel the most impact, or start feeling those impacts, I should say. And we're leaving this in a 24-hour period just because, again, we will have those effects of the outer rain bands bringing some gusty winds as well. Winds, speaking of that, 40 to 60 miles per hour, rain 6 to 12 inches, and then we have that threat, that storm threat that Natalie was just going over, that has been increased for areas just north of Crystal River, because again, we are forecasting landfall close to the Big Bend region. So the surge a little bit higher than 3 to 5 feet in some areas when you push out of the nature coast. What you need to know is please download the app so you can get the latest watches and warnings, and that applies for everybody. Again, the wind that we have for Pinellas Hillsborough would be from 10 a.m. to Sunday to 10 a.m. Monday. The time is a little bit earlier because, of course, we are further down to the south and the storm is moving in from the west-southwest. An impact 40 to 55 mile per hour winds. Rain anywhere. We're bumping that up a little bit from 6 to 12 inches. We have a flood watch I'm going to go over with you, and then surge 2 to 4 feet. What you need to know is, again, we have a tropical storm warning that's in effect. Manatee and Sarasota County even earlier here for those impacts. Tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. is when you'll start feeling those outer bands, or seeing those outer bands move into your region if you're in Manatee or Sarasota. Winds 40 to 50 miles per hour, rain 4 to 8 inches, and then surge 2 to 4 feet. The inland locations is where you're going to feel the least of the effects just because of the location off the coast there. That's not to say that you won't have any severe weather. In fact, this is one area that I would be concerned for those severe thunderstorm watches and warnings, as well as any spin-ups from a tornado, because you're kind of on that dirty outer side that we have been talking about, where we usually see that severe weather. The right side of the storm in this situation, it's the far right quadrant. If you split it into 4 quadrants, just put a cross in the middle and look up to the right. All right, again, that has a tropical storm watch. That is a little bit different where the other areas have tropical storm warnings. Here's a forecasted rainfall through Monday 11 p.m. and you can see the areas highlighted in the orange and the yellow here. That's pushing beyond that 10-inch mark. So we will have areas exceeding 10 inches of rain, especially as you move north into Citrus County and beyond that, northward of that. However, as you move closer to the coast, we also have those very high rainfall totals, 6 to 12 inches possible across our coastal areas. That is why we have a flood watch for the western side of the Florida Peninsula. I mean, this flood watch stretches all the way down to southwest Florida, but of course we want to know locally how it's going to affect us. So again, 6 to 12 inches, that's the sweet spot. If you get less rain, that's wonderful, but we do want to make sure that we are keeping in mind that some of these areas have been bruised in the past by storms that were not even a year ago. Think about Idalia. Idalia made landfall very close to where this storm could make landfall come tomorrow. High tide times, we did go over this earlier, but this is very important because the high tide will be higher than normal tomorrow. Part of that is due to the new moon that we have tomorrow morning. Yeah, just adding another element to it, right? The afternoon times are very important. Both times are important, but the afternoon high tide, because the storm will be just off our coast around that time. So please pay attention. If you have that onshore wind, really could lead to some storm surge concerns in your area. I do want to leave you with the 7-day forecast because we have a weather impact alert day set for tomorrow and Monday, because we likely will feel the effects into Monday morning. We're always keeping you connected on air and online.